Can you describe your crossbreeding program, please?
Yes, well, we've preferred to have Hereford Shorthorn crossbred cattle. Herefords, because of their ability to do quite well in this region and retain a good sort of fat cover, while Shorthorns have exceptionally good maternal values, like as far as calf mothering and good milking ability, and are sort of unselfish, if you like, to look after their calf. So the cross we find is exceptionally good in this region, which is often very wet. We often get very wet winters and short pastures, so that cross seems to give a very good maternal value to breeding calves.
So you've got a Hereford Shorthorn cross cow. What's the bull you mate that to?
We tend then to cross back. So we're sort of avoiding that. We do run out of hybrid vigour, if you like, because we see cross back Hereford Shorthorn crosses. Because we're self-replenishing, if we have the calves when we retain the females are very much Hereford, then we'll cross back to a Shorthorn again. We do run a line of Herefords and a line of Shorthorns, which are virtually straight, and then cross them with a terminal sire type of thing back to the opposite breed to keep that 50% crossbred if we can.
I was just going to add to that we use semi-bulls to put over some of our cattle herd, and also Angus. So we get another type of crossbred animal, and we just find that they all perform extremely well, and the results are similar at the returns at our annual weaner sale.
So you'd be getting a great deal more heteroses out of that than the Hereford Shorthorn.
Yes, you do. Out of those, when you're out across, like with the semis, yes, definitely. And the Angus. The Angus largely over our heifers. That's sort of an experience, if you like, for the heifer, because we choose low birth weight, lower figures bulls for the heifers, the first calvers, and once they've had a calf, we don't find there's any problem with having a higher figured bull, a higher growth figured or birth figured bull. The calves can be really big then, and 60 kilogram or more, and they seem to calve okay.
Hugh, what do you think the advantages you get from crossbreeding?
Well, the calves are sort of thrifty. They grow very well. The growth figures are very strong. The progeny are like nicely muscled, nicely rounded, good soft-looking cattle. Our production is geared towards the EU. That's our focus. Our business focus is to provide for the EU. And so the calves that we sell, we'd hope they'd be retained in the EU by the people that buy them, but that's just an option. The ones that we are carried over that we keep, that's where our total focus is to the EU. So we need animals that look nice and nicely rounded, good fat cover, without being exceptional, but all at a young age. So we find that's the big advantage, that they can get up to those sort of EU weights at the youngest possible age, like by 20 months or 22 years old.
Have you got any figures on sort of roughly what you aim for in terms of weight and age?
The dressed weights, I reckon, about 360. So the live weight's sort of up around the 600 kilograms, if we can, is where we're aiming for. Sort of 540 to 600 is where we're sort of going for live weight. Yeah. Whatever the EU grid is at the time, which is pretty static, but we just try and get the highest part of the grid if we can.
Are there any disadvantages in what you do?
No, I don't think so.
No, I think we believe in what we're doing, so otherwise we wouldn't. I mean, we're constantly assessing and we're doing analysis of, returns from our cattle. So we're also speaking to people, or trying to get as much feedback as we can from people who purchase from us, so that we can improve what we're doing. and we get a lot of repeat bars, so hopefully they're performing well for the people who buy from us.
How do you market your cattle?
Well, we have an annual production sale in Narracourt where the majority of our calves are turned off. We retain about 600 heifers each year, so there's usually only a couple of hundred heifers that are sold at the annual sale. It's a fixed event that happens every year. We've had 24 years of the sale. Virtually everything else is aimed at the EU, to the local works in Narracourt, and cows, obviously, calves for aged cows or whatever, they go to the open auction in Narracourt. We sometimes remate heifers that did not get in calf, and we sell them as spring calvers, but they're usually sold on the place.
How do you source your females? From what I've seen, you don't seem to buy in a lot of females.
Don't buy no females, no. The only animals we purchase are bulls, and we buy them from selected studs, so we encourage an alliance with particular studs, so we return each year with advice from the breeder, stud breeder, as to which bulls would suit our EU focus. But no, the females we retain. We're always aiming for the biggest frame score, not necessarily the best doing calf. We often sell quite like fat heifers. We don't really want fat heifers. We just want well framed, well grown females to keep. Yes.
How important are EBVs to you when you go out looking for sires?
I'd say we'd spend quite a few hours over the bull buying period, looking through the catalogues to isolate or decide on which bulls we feel are preferable. So they play a considerable role in our selection. But I'll just repeat that we do get back to the breeder of the bulls and ask them to give us more of a background on the history of that bull and his parents, etc., to know that suits our focus for this sort of turn off to EU, and of course for breeding, for maternal values for the females that we perhaps keep out of them.
Yes, I feel it's got to be a win-win situation. We're all together in the beef industry, so we do look for the stud person's expertise in that area, and if we want to form a long-term alliance, well, then they give us advice. We study the catalogues, so we do a little homework. We go to the sales, and then together with the stud breeder, look at those particular bulls and their qualities, and then we have, I guess, an idea from that visual perspective, and so then buy the bulls that we want.
Are there any management issues to what you're doing in regards to managing your breeding program?
No, we haven't used AI to date, no. We have 4 properties, 4 farms. They each have an individual pick number. Therefore, we can do a lot of evaluation per pick number of breed, where the sires have come from, and therefore we can put particular sires on particular pick numbers, and therefore that herd's sort of closed, and it's much easier to identify what's happened, what we've done, and what the result is here.
What has been your experience of crossbreeding in drought years?
I don't think there's any difference to normal. The cows have held up remarkably well this year, considering what little appears to be out in the paddock. And the calving seems to be going along okay. We've had a small glitch, I suppose, with running out of protein. The animals are running out of protein, and it's caused some of the heifers not to exert to calve as well. We've had a few losses with the first calvers. That's the calves being not quickly enough, born quickly enough. But no, apart from that, that's the only glitch we've had, I guess, with the drought so far.
Is the crossbred animal sort of more robust?
Yeah, I think it is certainly. I think that's why from our past history or understanding of this region, when it can get quite wet, and experiencing a feed drought in the winter time where it's very, very short, and the cow has to get back in calf. They've got a cycle, so yeah, I think our experience has been that the short-horn Hereford cross has been ideal for our location. Yeah.
Can you tell us where the cattle you sell end up and what environment is best suited for the cattle you breed?
I'd sort of say that generally they go to areas that are sort of similar, with about a 20-inch rainfall, have green feed at certain months of the year, and yeah, I think it's the same for all animals. The better you feed them, the better they do, and the more quickly they'll get to the target weights that you're focusing on. And yeah, it depends on what the purchaser's aiming for, but we've found that the short-horns can go to, the straight sort of short-horn types can go to the feedlot that people prefer, but we've always opted to sell them as calves and have a maximum number of cows that we can run and turn up as many calves as we can, rather than background or grow on to the next stage. We'll left that for the next person. Yeah.